Hello, I'm Steven,
And I'm Aaron.
and we've just seen The
The
Mandalorian
Mandalorian
and
and Grogu.
Grogu, new film that's out in theaters right now, starring Pedro Pascal, Jeremy Allen White, Sigourney Weaver, and Baby Yoda, and it is directed by Jon Favreau. So, in this film, we find Din Djarin, the titular Mandalorian, on a quest to bring back Rada the Hutt to his aunt and uncle. That's about it.
Did you remember that his name is Din Djarin?
Yeah, I did actually.
Okay.
Despite the fact that I'm not too keen on that show. In fact, I think it's pretty damn overrated. I did actually remember that his name is Din Djarin. I don't think they say it in this movie.
No, I don't believe they do. I liked the first two seasons well enough. The third season wasn't very good.
No, I didn't really like one. I was enjoying two until we got to the end and that dumbass, stupid, vacant, vapid, ridiculous, masturbatory Luke Skywalker
Oh,
cameo happened. And then at the end of the series, I realized, oh, this whole thing was a commercial for a bunch of spin offs. And then
yeah.
I hated it. And then season three was
All over the place.
just ridiculous.
I think the biggest question is, did this need to be a movie? And why is this a movie?
The answer was no, and money.
Money, money, money.
Is there money to be made here?
It's a popular IP, so I would say yes. It's funny when the movie was over, a theater attendant came into our auditorium as audiences were leaving,
Yeah.
and he said to a random audience member, "Oh, how's the movie?" And then the lady he was asking said, "It was all right. It was basically a long episode of the TV show, and that's exactly what this was."
So I guess get this out of the way first. Did you like the movie?
Kind of like with our Michael review, I was entertained by it as I was watching it. And then after the movie was over, I realized that everything I saw was very empty and meaningless. Like 100 minutes of empty, meandering, non cinematic dribble that's merely adequate. And then there's 15 minutes of quality and then like 20 minutes of meandering dipshittery.
Okay, I liked this for the most part. There's like a big section of the movie where I was thinking like, what are we doing? Why is this still going? The movie kind of feels like it's reached a logical conclusion for the story that it has told so far, and then we kind of jump track to tell another story until finally it circles back around into the original plot line. That being said, like, I like the characters and I like watching them do things, but that's really kind of all you're doing here is watching them do
That's
things.
all you're doing. The Mandalorian has no arc.
No, there's kind of this thing they try to do where they try to do a Logan with it. That's the movie I was thinking of. It's like Din Djarin is old and he's beat up and he's the Mandalorian. He's got this child he's taking care of, and then eventually the child kind of has to save the Mandalorian, and then they work together to take on the big bads in the end. That's
Yeah.
kind of the general structure. A lot of the stuff that I really liked about this is kind of in the technical and in the details. As much as people complain about the volume in the TV show and how flat and lifeless the environments can feel because it's very clear they're just in a big circular room, and there's not a lot of depth or variety or dynamism to the scenes. They do a lot in this movie with special effects and puppetry and even stop motion miniatures. Like I was kind of riveted by a lot of that stuff, but like the story is just so meandering and weird. I just think the whole time I'm thinking like, why is this a movie?
Yeah, the stop motion thing, that stood out to me as being the most interesting effect in the movie. I was like, is that actually stop motion or is that CG that's designed to look like stop motion? But whatever they did, it's actually pretty cool looking.
Yeah, I tend to think that just straight up legit is stop motion because it has all the hallmarks of like a classic stop motion movie that you would see, especially with like the compositing.
Yeah.
Like the backgrounds are like a slightly like discolored wrong, and like the characters do stand out quite a bit. But the way they're integrated together is pretty seamless, but they still have kind of that herky jerky motion.
The puppets, like, there's so much more life and energy in those puppets, even when they're moving kind of jerkily, than any of the CG characters in this damn thing. Like the Martin
Yeah,
Scorsese character, he could have been a guy in a suit. He could have been
yeah.
a puppet.
He's also in the movie. Yeah, that's it's very weird that he's not. He's only in the movie for like 2 minutes. Um,
Yeah, and then there's two Huts in this movie, and it's like, hey, remember in the 1980s when those were puppets?
yeah. Well, the thing is, like the Huts in this movie do far more than we've ever seen them do before. So
Well, that's when you combine the two,
y-
Jurassic Park style.
yeah, I can imagine that a decision was made at some point. Like, are we gonna have the Huts just sit around like slugs like we normally have them do, or are we gonna actually have them do things?
And like I mentioned, the plot it really is that simple. Like the two evil Huts task the Mandalorian with bringing back Rada the Hutt, their nephew.
Yeah.
Mandalorian and Baby Yoda they go on a quest. They find out Rada the Hutt is working as a basically a gladiator in like
Well,
this coliseum where he's a prize fighter or whatever.
Well, just to back up a little bit, the general reason for any of this happening is that Mando is working for the New Republic, the Galactic Republic, or whatever they're called here. And they are hunting down criminals with ties to the Empire so they can prevent the Empire from basically rising from the ashes. But they get so far away from that so quickly because it is focused on like this one family, like these huts, that the empire has like no presence here whatsoever, even though that's the reason why any of this is happening. It's very strange. It's very weird. Like he's given a card, like an actual deck of cards of criminals that Sigourney Weaver has, and she's like, "I need you to go find this guy, bring him in, dead or alive, or whatever."
Yeah, I think I remember them making kind of a big deal about Sigourney Weaver's involvement in this, and she is like a non-entity for most of it. She's just the dispatcher. It's like, here's a
Yeah,
job, go
yeah,
do it.
yeah. It's odd. He's trying to get back Rada the Hutt to take him back to his aunt and uncle, and of course, when he meets Rada, like you said, he's like a gladiator for some imperial overlord. But then, like Rada reveals things about his character that makes the Mandalorian think twice about his mission, and he makes choices that make the whole thing spiral out of control, which makes the Hutts come after him, which is kind of how we circle back around to the finale.
And they do this stupid shit where the Mandalorian comes to claim Rada the Hutt, and Rada the Hutt doesn't want to go with him because he's
Everybody
respect
here likes me.
yeah, he's respected by the people who
I'm
watch
my
the
own man.
fights. Yeah. The reason why is because he was Jabba the Hutt's son, which oh my god, that felt like such a shoehorned in
Yeah,
connection. But I
yeah,
think this is the same character who little Anakin and Ahsoka were babysitting in that shitty Clone Wars movie. I think that's this Hutt grown up. But he didn't
I
need
think
to be
so.
Jabba's son because he talks about in this movie how it's like, yeah, the people like me now, but when I started doing the fights, they booed me. They rejected me. They rejected me because I was Jabba's son. All you had to say was they rejected me for being a Hutt because you would think Dave Filoni, being the Star Wars aficionado who
Yeah,
reveres those shitty
yeah.
prequels,
The
would
Hutts are
remember.
gangsters.
Yeah, Panaka. Yeah, the Hutts are not liked in this universe. They're all criminals.
Yeah.
That's all you needed. He didn't need to be Jabba's son.
He didn't need to be. But honestly, that was kind of the only aspect of his character that I found kind of interesting is like, okay, well, they're trying to do something with this character because his placement feels so strange.
He's voiced by Jeremy Allen White.
And that's where I was going next. The thing about his character that I cannot decide how I feel about this is, did he phone this performance in? Like, is this the worst performance he's ever given, or is this understated?
Or a potential third option. It's such a nothing role that you don't know what to do with it.
His delivery is so flat and so dry for many of his
Yes,
lines.
yes. If I didn't see his name in the credits, I would
Yeah,
never have
you
guessed this
you
was
wouldn't
Jeremy
know.
Allen White.
It really is like, the people here like me. I'm my own man. I don't want to go anywhere.
I'm not going back. I'm not my father.
I'm not my father.
Remember those stories about how Netflix they have to reiterate the plot verbally
Yeah.
multiple times?
Yes, I was very heavily feeling that with Rada's character.
Yes.
All of his lines that he has, every time he reappears, he restates who he is and where he comes from and why he doesn't want to leave the situation he's in.
Dude, these are supposedly professional screenwriters. It's Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau writing this, which as soon
Yeah,
as I saw their name in the credits, I was like, oh, well, the dream team. Yeah, this is going to be great. Sarcasm, in case you didn't get it.
yeah. Which is a shame because I like both of their work. I'm a big fan of like all those animated shows, and there is gold in some of those series. Whether or not he's responsible for the writing for them is another story. But like I said, with his performance, there are times when it's so flat and awkward. I'm just like, holy shit, this is the worst performance I have ever seen. Like on a big on a like supposedly high budget big screen version of a television show. And then there's other times where I'm like, okay, that kind of worked for the scene that they're doing, or he takes a strong liking to Grogu, and he kind of appreciates the relationship that him and Mando have. And he has scenes where he's like, you gotta protect the little guy, like watch out for him and stuff like that, and stuff like that I enjoy. But man, yeah, his early scenes are so baffling to me, just why they're played that way.
Yeah, and you and I, we've seen like 3 seasons of The Bear, so we know what the dude's capable of, and
Yeah,
none of the emotion that he shows in that show or anything else we might have seen him in, like Shameless, like the few
yeah.
episodes I've seen, none of that's here.
Maybe he told John Favreau when he read that his character was like a gladiator. He's like, "You're not gonna have me screaming the whole time, are you? Because I'm kind of sick of doing that on the bear." So
And then he speaks English for the audience's convenience because we can't have them just read subtitles. That's
yeah,
dastardly. I always
um,
thought it would be cool if you had a Hut villain who did speak English, but then he also wore clothes and tried to
yeah.
integrate into polite society. I thought that would be a cool concept for a character, but these Huts, they're just your typical bloated, just lying around in their own filth.
The movie's called The Mandalorian and Grogu, so they know what they're doing. They know what they have with this Grogu character. Like
Yeah.
it's the cutest thing in the world.
Yeah, the Baby Yoda is the best character in the movie.
He really is, and
He feels like he has more of an arc than
he
Din
does.
Djarin.
He does. He actually he goes through some things in this movie.
Yeah, there comes a point where he has to step up to the plate and take responsibility for his own safety and the Mandalorians, and he has to go on a little adventure. And that was some of the best segments in the movie.
It's one of the only times in a movie where it stops being about the action and the explosions, and it's about like the quiet and
Yes.
the character like surviving and figuring out how to do things.
The 15 minutes of quality I thought was a prolonged sequence in the woods involving the Baby Yoda and the Mandalorian.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like a tiny little survival short film. It feels like something different than what you would have seen on TV, and that's like the only part of the movie that felt kind of cinematic. The rest of the movie is a TV episode with a bigger budget, and this thing is also like 2 hours long.
It feels way longer than it actually is. It's probably about 15 minutes too long. After we kind of wrap up the first episode, if you want to call it, there is a big stretch where it's just like, why is this still going?
Yeah,
Why are we still watching this? And then we get to the stuff you're talking about with on the jungle with Grogu and whatnot. It's like, all right, I'm back in. Like, I like this stuff a lot. And I thought that section of the movie through the end was actually pretty entertaining because that's when we get like the stop motion stuff and the action stuff with the Huts and the other characters, which I actually thought was pretty entertaining. Although there is like this weird robot alien bounty hunter character who's kind of thrown into the plot, although he's never explored or explained. It's like they wanted him to be Cad Bane, but they can't do Cad Bane anymore.
my thought on that character throughout the movie was he only exists to be a soldier because the Huts can't fight.
Yeah.
Rada can fight
Well,
because he's a gladiator and he's muscular. He's not bloated and overweight. But
he also like feels like he exists just to look cool and sell toys
yeah,
too.
that too. But then we get to the end of the movie and Rada's having a hard time fighting the Huts, and it's like, what?
Yeah.
It should be
Yeah.
a cakewalk.
Well, there's two of them, and they're big fat fatties. So
Jesus.
yeah, but like Rada the Hut with his giant 8 pack
Yeah.
somehow has problems with his like old aunt and uncle who are gelatinous and sluggy.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Ridiculous.
it is crazy.
Ludwig Göransson.
Oh yeah,
He's doing
yeah,
so much heavy lifting.
he is, man. They land on this cyberpunk looking Blade Runner esque planet with neon everywhere and like rain soaked roads and restaurants and stuff like that. And his freaking score kicks in and he's like doing trap beats and he's exploring all kind of stuff that you would never see in a Star Wars movie
Yeah,
normally.
this crazy techno track that reoccurs a couple times throughout the movie, and every time that was on, I was like, yeah,
Yeah, his music is so freaking good. Like I've said it multiple times, but he really is one of the best in the industry right now. He can do anything, and he just makes everything so much better. I also really appreciate it that we are able to do something new in Star Wars other than just ripping off the old themes and doing
Yeah,
variations of them. Like it's completely different. It's all totally different and like new styles of music.
yeah. Give some other talented composer their chance to breathe life into the series, not just recycle John
Yeah,
Williams.
they did the same thing with Andor, and the score for Andor is amazing, and it's amazing because they're trying new things and they're doing new things with it. And
And in the case of that show, the music isn't elevating the story because that show is phenomenally well written.
yeah, they're scoring the movie or the show that is written and shot. They're not writing music for Star Wars, what they think Star Wars should be. It is possible for this series to evolve and change. So, yeah, the music, Ludwig Göransson, once again, just knocks it out of the park. One of the best things about the movie. I liked some of the environments. I liked seeing the huts, the home planet. They literally just live in like nastiness.
Yeah, it just looked like a inside of like an ant hill or something, and there's slugs
Yeah,
just
it
trudging along.
it reminded me of the level of Cortana from Halo 3.
Yeah, I can see that. It was just as sad too.
Yeah, just a filthy mess. Even the action I thought was pretty entertaining for the most part. There are some scenes where it's very awkwardly shot in like a volume or a green screen. Like there's a chase scene with speeders, and it's like none of this looks legit or
Oh,
plausible at all.
did you find some of the creature design in this to be really uninspired and lazy? Like that gladiator sequence, like I will shit on the Star Wars prequels all day, but the gladiator sequence in that movie had some really interesting creature design
Yeah.
compared to the generic D&D designs that are
Okay.
in this movie.
So I will have to look this up, but this would not surprise me in the slightest considering who this movie is coming from. But I saw online somebody talking about the monsters in the gladiator scene being the monsters from the chess game.
Oh.
So if that's the case, that's extremely lame and
Yeah,
lazy.
you sacrifice potentially interesting character design for the sake of a lame ass Easter egg that most of us probably aren't going to get.
Yeah, like I said, I will have to look this up and double check. I thought some of them were kind of cool. I thought some of them were very, very lame. And some of them were just like very hard to make out what they even were,
Yeah.
just because their designs are so strange. But yeah, I wasn't really into that too much.
I also thought Rada just looked like shit. There were times in this movie where he, to me, looked like the Jabba from the 1997 version of the original Star Wars. The really
Yeah,
bad CG Jabba.
yeah, he's probably the weakest CG character in the movie. There are times when I thought he looked all right, and then yeah, there are times where he's just yeah, he doesn't fit in there. I think they wanted to like make just an old school throwback adventure movie, kind of like a Phantom or a Rocketeer, but this just doesn't have like any of the character of the or the like charisma of those stories or those characters.
Yeah, no, hell no.
I kind of feel like I get what they wanted to achieve with this movie.
Yeah, a big paycheck, box office
Yeah,
records.
the problem is like when you're coming from television and your production quality on your television show is not too far off from what you're getting out of this movie, and the movie really does kind of feel like 3 episodes stapled together.
This movie is like Star Trek: The Next Generation's transition into films. Those films at worst
Yeah,
just felt like long episodes.
yeah,
It does not do what the original series did, where it transitioned seamlessly into films, and they were telling stories that felt like they had to be
they
seen
had
on
to
a
be
big
yeah,
screen.
they had to be movies. That's another problem, and I think it has a lot to do with the IP. Is The Mandalorian as a television show is so inconsistent and so all over the place in the story it's telling. I can't tell you what the through line is or what the general arcs of the characters are because when you think they're going in a certain direction, they will undo it in the next season, or they will completely shift gears into doing cameos from all the extended universe characters and telling their stories rather than focusing on the central duo. So it's like the television show doesn't know what they want to do with these characters. So of course the movie doesn't either.
There's a line of dialogue in the trailer where Din Djarin says that the child's going to live hundreds of years. I won't be around to protect him. Funny enough, he doesn't say that line in this movie. One of the Hutts does. But yeah, anyway, the point being is you think, based on that line of dialogue, that that's going to be like the meat of his arc. It is going to be Din Djarin coming to terms with the fact that he's getting old and broken down and he won't be around forever to protect the kid. And then
Yeah.
that's where the child comes into his own and becomes self reliant. You think that might be where they're going, but it's not really. There's no
Yeah.
story whatsoever. There's no arc.
Like I said, it feels like they want this to be kind of like a Logan type story, but if they don't have the balls to go where that movie goes or to do the things that it does with its characters because they want to keep making these and keep selling these characters to you for the next like 10, 15 years. So they can't do anything too drastic with them. So this just ends up being like entertaining, light, but totally inconsequential fare.
It's fluff.
Yeah, pretty much.
So, what is your final number rating on a scale of 1 to 10?
Like a strong 6 or a generous 7, like, because I did enjoy that last, like, 20, 30-minute stretch of the movie so much, I kind of left feeling pretty happy because I know everybody else was pretty much shitting on this movie. But then I was thinking, like, yeah, there was a long section of the movie where I just was so confused as to why I was even watching it still, and thinking about my first 2 questions of this conversation. Did this need to be a movie, and why is this a movie? Is I don't have good answers for those questions. So yeah, I'd probably give it like a 6.
Yeah, 6 out of 10. Yeah, it's entertaining, but the story is meandering and non existent, really. There's no arcs. There's really not even a sense of peril. Ah,
What did Jin Jarin learn?
he learned that some things are better left on television, but Baby Yoda innocent.
He's forever the MVP, and thankfully he gets a lot of focus here. So
Not a very good movie. 6 out of 10.
lame ass villains.
Yes, yes. Lame ass huts. Bad huts. Pizza the Hut was more intimidating. So that's The Mandalorian and Grogu. I'd say skip it. Just wait till if this comes on streaming.
This is not the way.